Inside Press Box is presented by Live Casino and Hotel. Always live, always on. And welcome into another edition of Inside Press Box. Stan the Fan Charles back in action with my co-host Gary Stein. We've got three of the brightest minds in town lined up this week.
That is true, Stanley, and we'll do our best to blend in. Here we go. Chesapeake Sports and Entertainment Group is looking to build a sports complex and stadium in Crownsville. Mark Burdett shares his vision for the project, which is named Chesapeake Park. And Pressbox gaming writer Bill Ordine assesses recent developments in the Maryland General Assembly relating to legalized sports gaming.
Can't wait to hear that. But first, keeping athletes on the field, that's the main purpose of sports medicine specialists, and indeed it is the lifeblood of sports. Here to talk about the evolving science and management of orthopedic sports injuries is our good friend, co-founder of LifeBridge Sports Medicine, Dr. Craig Bennett. Dr. Bennett, thanks for coming back in so soon.
Thanks for having me.
You got it.
Great to see you.
That's a big, meaty topic, the evolution and treatment of sports injuries. Where are we today? How far advanced are we from where we were, say, 10 years ago?
Oh, there's been tremendous advances. I mean, if we just pick the various injuries, you could just go from head to toe literally in regards to new things, new ways to do things. We don't do many things the same way we did them 10, 15 years ago. Advances are in technology, understanding of the body, it's tremendous.
So, Craig, let's zero in on one key part of the body, and for a football fan or most sports fans, it's the dreaded ACL.
Okay.
Right? It used to be the ACL was like a career ender, way back in the day. Now the ACL is still an injury that's kind of dreaded, but there have been a lot of advances in that, and athletes are starting to come back quicker than ever.
Absolutely. So now, when someone comes in after their MRI and their exam and they have an isolated ACL tear and no meniscus damage and no articular cartilage damage, I'm actually like, I know you're disappointed, but that's a good thing. Because isolated ACL, we have about a 98% chance of getting that athlete back to what he or she wants to do with the various techniques that we've got. Whereas when you combine the ACL injury with meniscus and cartilage, then that's a whole different story. So an isolated ACL tear, actually on an MRI, I'm encouraged by that if that's the only injury.
What about, where do we stand with microfracture surgeries when involved with the cartilage in the knee?
Okay, so that's been one of the big changes. So microfracture, so articular cartilage, that's the white shiny stuff that lines the end of our bone. And that cartilage, when it's gone, that's arthritis. So microfracture is a surgery that was around for many, many decades. That's where you drill holes in the bone where the cartilage is deficient. And you have to wait for those holes to fill in with a type of cartilage that we call fibrocartilage. It's not normal cartilage. And if you look at some of the articles that have come out looking at how high-level athletes or moderate-level athletic people have done in time with microfractures, it hasn't gone all that well. So we've got alternatives. So specifically, OATS procedure, OATS procedure. That's where we take a piece of cartilage from an area of your knee where you don't have to have the cartilage, and you shift it into that main weight-bearing part, and you put that cartilage from that one area into the other area, and that's been a better procedure over the course of the past 10 years. Then there are other procedures where you actually take someone else's cartilage, someone who's passed away and been kind enough to donate their cartilage, you put that cartilage into the knee. Those are the two of the techniques that have taken over from microfracture.
So I wonder, you've performed surgery on all ages of athletes, I'm sure, high school athletes, college athletes, professional athletes, bodies mature as they get older, obviously. Do you approach a surgery different, let's say, for a high school athlete and that level of maturing and that level of body, as opposed to a professional athlete who may be 10 or 15 years older and his body has obviously matured more?
Absolutely. And some surgeons are different. There are some surgeons who take pride in saying, same way, same time, every time. Then there are other surgeons, and I would put myself in this category, where I'm going to ask 5 things: who, what, when, where, and why. And so those W's are going to change, and my response to that injury is going to be very different based on who it's in, where they did it, why they did it. And so you talked about a high school athlete. Their growth plates have just begun to close, or they're still open. Microfracture. Microfracture can be quite successful when the growth plates are wide open, because they're going to form great scar cartilage.
Are they wide open when you're younger?
Like 12, 13,
okay, yeah.
11, 12, 13, microfracture has a good chance to work. Whereas when the hair on the top of your head is as thin as it is in our cases, then the cartilage in your knee is going to be thin, and microfracture is probably not going to work. So very different management based on the age of the patient.
I want to throw you a little bit of a curveball. We talked about it before you came out here, but I want to dig into this. The obesity problem with National Football League athletes. Where do you stand on that? To me, that is every bit as sort of damning about the sport as the CTE scandal and things involving brain injuries.
So let's go back to our microfracture discussion, our
We've
cartilage
got about
injury
a
discussion.
minute.
Okay, so how you manage somebody who's the ideal body weight, whose cartilage may be fibro or scar cartilage after you've done a procedure, is going to be very different than someone who's way overweight. And so obesity, it works both ways. Because of the obesity, they're more prone to having a problem in their knee.
Right.
There's a more force that goes across the knee. And because of the obesity, they're not going to do as well in their recovery process. And so, weight's a huge issue in all ages and in all spectrums.
I think it's something the NFL's got a real problem with, and they've got to address it somehow.
Absolutely.
All right, we really appreciate you
Hey,
coming in
thanks for
again.
having me, as always.
Always a pleasure to talk
All right,
to
guys.
Dr. Bennett from LifeBridge Health. After the break, we bring in Mark Burdett to get us up to speed on the proposed 360-acre sports performance complex in Crownsville. Inside Press Box will return after this.
And Hero Appreciation Day is every Wednesday at Live Casino and Hotel. Live rewards members with a valid military, DOD, police officer, or firefighter ID receive special offers. Visit livecasinohotel.com for details. At Arundel Mills must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Inside Press Box is presented by Live Casino and Hotel. Always live, always on.